Too many self-help routines are short-sighted exercises in tunnel vision. Building a better me is not about just establishing a better diet, physical fitness routine, spiritual approach, or ensuring psychological stability. At different phases of my life, I have prioritized one virtue at the expense of others. I think too often as human beings, what we assume is progress in one area is actually just stealing energy or resources from another. As a society, we have a very cynical approach to measuring success. Popularity and riches are our primary criteria. As long as you're good enough at one thing, and that one thing makes you a millionaire or a successful politician, who cares that you're a philanderer? If you're a profound artist that reaches enough people, who cares that you're abusive or a pedophile? Imbalance is only the price of success, right? It's no wonder that in this skeptical, cynical age, that the superhero has become our new touchstone of divinity. The imbalanced human, good at one thing at the expense of other virtues, absurd strength, divine speed, inhuman abilities. It's a reflection of our bias that being human isn't good enough. We need a steroid, we need a malfunction, we need an augmentation, we need a mutation. We need to cheat, we need to become an animal, we need to become a god, we need to become a machine. But what if our myths are wrong? What if there were a third path between the super and the mundane? What if between the animal and the angel, the god and the machine, there was this entity called a human being? No two in a trillion the same, but every single one with a path that didn't require them to compromise on their physiological wiring as human to be the best they could be. We're not going to become superheroes or megalomaniacal media moguls. We're going to be something better if we just commit to that not-so-simple goal of building a better me.
Well, just came back from my second sparring boxing with Tyler and Brandon. We met a new Brandon today. The fastest guy I've seen in a boxing ring in person. I think he just could have knocked me out in the first 20 seconds if he wanted to. As a person with a pretty good imagination, I fancy myself a pretty decent writer. Yeah, there's something about boxing to kind of put things in perspective. You bite off more than you can chew a lot of times. I think these first 3 months of 2018, today and yesterday, culminating in this moment of kind of hitting the brick wall of reality and realizing, man, this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought it was. There's only methodical focus on incrementally getting better, and the only way you do that is pushing to failure. What your imagination assumes success to look like, you have to just destroy that because it's wrong. Reality does just not imitate art. You know, I've been conditioned by movies, action scenes and chase scenes, and it's just all fake, man. It's all play acting. These things aren't real. And so when you actually get in there and even if they're doing it correctly on screen, you're not understanding the muscle movements. A montage does not communicate the failure you feel because you have a nice song going along with it, A montage does not communicate the blood, sweat, tears, and puke, soul-crushing feeling of defeat. Realized the enormity of the task and that it's going to take more discipline. And instead of focusing on power, they were saying, all three of them that told me that, my biggest problem was I would give away my punches. I would be showing my hand. I'd be cocking, super hard back, trying to hit them with everything I got. It's more like, if you've ever wrapped up a towel and flicked it at somebody, like it's really not the power of it, it's all on the wrist. It's all in the technique, it's all in the form. If you can flail a towel over your head and hit somebody with it, it won't even hurt, but if you flick your wrist at just the right time, it snaps. And so that's what a jab is. You're just snapping your arm. And I'm cocking back so hard, trying to connect with everything that's in me. And by the time I get to them, they've already predicted my punch and they've jumped out of the way. And, they were all nice and they didn't like cold cock me in the side of the head with a hook or just totally knock me out. But I do that in life all the time. Tyler said to me today, it's not about the power, it's about the speed. And I kind of want to emphasize not just the speed. And to get the speed, it takes training. It takes the montage that is not sexy in real life. It takes the getting up every morning at 5 a.m. and running, going into the gym every day, or whatever it is. It takes the swim, whatever it is that you're trying to do. All that stuff that's not sexy because it's not framed well and there's good lighting and a nice soundtrack that cuts on the beats. I've been living in a fantasy world in my head for 20 years. And I imagine there's a lot of you are as well. I mean, we've just been conditioned by the silver screen, by music, by success stories that just gloss over all the difficulty. There's no 4-hour work week to success. I hate to say it, Tim. There's blood, sweat, tears, pain, failure, 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 failure. Pushing to failure, assessing, reanalyzing. Why is this messing up? Why am I not doing it right? Accepting feedback, being humble enough to realize, oh, I was doing it wrong. My imagination has the wrong idea of how to do this thing. When we were doing the breathing exercises last week, and I had this headache, man. I was doing this push-up thing, and like in the middle of the push-up, my head just destroyed me. It was hurting so bad. I just had this horrible headache, and I was just ready to quit. The pool was gonna be cold. I did not want to get in there. They didn't give me an option to get out, so I got to get in the water. And I'm doing the half burpees in the water, and I think I messed it up. Maybe I was doing the full burpees, and I was doing maybe some heavier weights, and I barely came to the top, and I sucked in some water. And so when I got up there, Brandon was saying how, it's really all about the form and the process, and the focus on those things that you're so committed to the form and the process, won't panic when things go wrong. Because you know the process so well that even when things start to go wrong, you have a contingency plan for it because you're ready for it. My buddy Rob Cole, he's a great swimmer, and so he swam in high school. He said it is all about the stroke in swimming. It's all about your form. Form is everything in most sports and most physical activities. And this is something that outside of violin, and even in violin, when I get in the moment, I lose all focus. Yesterday I was playing it, News Herald, I just choke. I just did terrible. I get too into the music and I just start like flailing all over the place and just, I think with my heart. I don't think with my mind. I've got a good mind, but it just becomes stupid. I just turn into a frigging brute. Because my imagination gets ahead of me and I think that superheroes are real and I'm just gonna feel my way through it, man. It's all heart. No, it's not. Like, it's all form, it's all process, it's all discipline, it's all self-control, all of those things. And then once you've mastered all that, then you can emote through it. Then you can feel the fire, Discipline will help you when the panic comes. To be prepared for the panic. This is the last episode of Building a Better Me for a couple months. We're going to take a couple months off the Patreon. Won't be charging anyone. When we come back, it will either be July or August. But when we come back, I hope to have, part of the whole thing about this first quarter has been trying to figure out what the point is. Like, what is my goal? What is my schedule? What is my process that I really need to focus on if I'm going to build a better me? And I think I've hit on it. And I just want to spend the next 3 months refining it in this next quarter, just get it down so that when I come back, I can say, okay, this is what I've been doing. These are, the mistakes I've made along the way, but it's a much closer fit for me because I truly, truly believe that it is in discipline, that it is in reevaluation. It's an algorithm for life. I really think that is, and nobody can figure it out but you. Like, you are a genetically unique individual. You have your own fingerprint. You're not a race. You're not a nationality. You're not a religion. You are a human being. Just such a monumental thing that you are. A collection of 1 billion different tiny organisms, basically. It's one. It's insane. And there's only one of you. So yours isn't going to look like mine, and mine sure as hell is not going to look like whoever else's. My goal is to really figure out who the surfing violinist is, and I think I'm a lot closer to it than I ever have been before, but it's going to take a lot more work than I've ever done before, and a lot more concerted effort, and a lot less of this mopey sort of self-indulgent, manic depressive BS. Like, I've got to be more stable for my family and for my friends, and for my co-workers, and anyone who knows me, especially in the last couple of years, I've just been very difficult to deal with. I was looking up megalomaniac today for some reason, and I've always been defining this word wrong. I've been using it wrong. I thought it was someone who was lust for power, but really, that's kind of an offshoot of it. But really, megalomania is people in their manic phase. And I read what it was, and I really believe that depression is not my primary problem. I think it's megalomania. It's this narcissistic, self-indulgent belief that I am a superhero, that I'm God's gift to the world, and if you just let me go and do my thing and make my movie and play my violin and surf, But now that I've watched footage of me playing the violin and watched footage of me surfing and seen my films, years later, I'm like, man, I am terrible. And I know, now I'm not fishing for compliments here. Like, I'm just objectively, I have good taste. I do have good taste. And I suck. I just objectively suck. This is not the depression talking. This is just reality talking. There's a reason I've never gotten 100,000 subs. There's a reason I have not become successful. It's because I've let this megalomaniac drive people crazy around me. Impossible to deal with. Hoping to put my nose down, do what needs to be done, and not quit, because I usually give up about 6 weeks into one of these discipline plans. Here's to 3 months, more than 6 weeks, to establish some habits that are more down to earth, more real, focusing on the process, focusing on the technique, and to quit trying to swing with every freaking ounce of energy in my being at every single pitch that comes my way, to slow down and be more realistic. I think that's the next step for building better me, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Stay strong, stay glorious. If you're having a hard time doing that, keep going. Having a hard time, keep going. Just hold on. Focus on some technique. All right. Be consistent. See ya.
Less power, more speed. Less power, more technique.